This transition into a new system where the old system is broken. We're forced to speculate. The system is rigged against us, but you've been given the gift. Crypto is the gift. And all you have to do is not fuck this up.
Hey guys, welcome back. Now, this is likely one of the most important weeks the crypto market has ever faced. And we have three huge dominoes all lined up. First, the FIT21 crypto legislation being voted on as we speak. Then the Ethereum ETF seems to be back from the dead. And lastly, we'll see whether Biden allows SARB 121 to get revoked, allowing the big banks to custody your crypto. Now, if everything were to go against crypto, then we'd likely see a massive correction and a whole lot of pain. However, if everything goes for us, then we'll likely set up the ultimate banana zone. The banana zone is a term brought to us by Raoul Pal, and I'll be covering what exactly it is and how high prices could be going. Then, just as important, the reasons behind why it keeps happening. And then we'll finish with my own piece of analysis at the end to help bring this whole thing together and give you the true perspective. Okay, so first up, let's start with a 1-minute clip from Raoul Pal explaining what exactly the banana zone is.
Let's go. Let's talk fucking bananas. Banana zone. Most of you who are on Twitter have seen me talk about the banana zone. This is a concept that Julian Bittle and myself introduced back in August when we were actually talking about the banana zone of Q4, when we started saying, you know, the liquidity profile, the election, the pre-election year, all of this leads to a melt up in assets in Q4. But the banana zone is a much bigger concept, explaining that it's not just, oh, Raoul's posted a chart that crypto goes up like this at the end of the cycle. It's nothing to do with that. It's why. It's about liquidity. It's about liquidity cycles. It's about debt refinancing. The banana zone is that period when you transition out of macro crypto spring into crypto macro summer. The banana zone is when that happens. Usually after the halving, there's this consolidation period, down 20%, chopping around, usual stuff. And then it starts gathering, and then it goes crazy. This is the banana zone. Why it's called the banana zone is because the chart A looks like a banana, and B, everything goes bananas. And that comes after the halving, after this consolidation, it does this. Will it be identical? Is 300 grand the price target? Whatever. I don't know. But it will go bananas. Unless something dramatic changes.
So let's quickly talk about why does this keep happening? Why do we keep getting these blow-off tops in the crypto market? And it has more to do with global liquidity than anything else. And it just so happens that the 4-year cycle of crypto marries up to a debt refi cycle in the US. So understanding liquidity is a key part of this whole thing. So this is something shared again by Raoul Pal, and he puts everything into seasons. So in green, we have spring, yellow, summer, the reddy orange, we have fall, and blue, we have winter. So let's just track this back and we'll see if this lines up. So this is global liquidity. So starting here, this is summer. And as we can see, pretty much straight up. So certainly a summer of liquidity here going into fall. And one of the things he points out is that it's actually fall that is probably going to be better than summer. So just something to bear in mind. And here that certainly lines up. Summer and fall, great years. We then have our first winter here, and it did top out about halfway through and began coming down into spring. Spring, summer and fall, one hell of a move here. And again, it did have its bigger correction in winter, so it is lining up here, going back into spring. Then, because of COVID, an epic summer and fall of global liquidity all around the world, and this will be referenced in the history books for quite some time. Obviously, after this massive summer fall party, there was quite a big hangover as they sucked liquidity back out of the system. Most recently, we've had this spring, and interestingly, it has still been coming down in spring. And we're now setting up what looks to be a very good summer and fall once again. And it's likely going to be somewhere in 2025 that we see the turnover back into the winter. So that is what is going on with global liquidity. Now let's see how this marries up with assets. So this now is the NASDAQ, so tech stocks. And again, let's see if this correlates. So starting back in 2012, again in summer, and this looks like a very rocky summer. Big moves, big corrections, big move, big correction. Fall, certainly a very good season here. Now, interestingly, I'd say this doesn't marry up with winter. So this actually looks like a very good winter. So if it doesn't correlate, I am going to call it out. Moving on now into spring, and this is a very typical spring. Just as you think summer is here, you get a nasty drop, a nasty shock back into winter before picking back up. And it happened again. However, when we go into summer and fall, this marries up very, very good. This is what we want to see, especially as we come into this right now. Now, winter, big correction here, a nice run, but yep, at the end of winter, a nasty correction down. But this did set up spring perfectly. So spring taking COVID out of the equation, because this is a bit of an anomaly. The spring, the summer, and fall were epic. What a move here. Perfectly lines up with winter, a very brutal winter for the NASDAQ. Going into spring, super strong spring, setting up again, hopefully a massive summer and fall. And then finally, how does this marry up to the crypto market? So this time we'll do it for Bitcoin. Again, starting 2012, let's take a look at summer. An excellent summer, a crazy fall, absolute epic move, and the winter lines up perfectly, pretty much bottoming out for spring. And this is certainly what spring looks like. Is it going to get hot? No. Is it going to get hot? No. Until summer finally comes. Then again, the summer fall move seems to be epic here, perfectly lined up into winter, and again perfectly lining up here, eerily perfect, an exact downfall there for winter, setting up a lovely spring. Is summer here? No, it manages to pull you back with false hopes before we get into summer. Now, ignoring the COVID crash, this is pretty much a typical summer and fall. We had this nice double top pattern, and again it perfectly marries up to the winter, and this was the most recent hellish crypto winter that we went through. This spring was very, very interesting as we had the big moves up, everyone was calling, saying that it's false hopes and it's going to be setting new lows, and it just made another leg higher. Everybody was saying that it's false hopes and it's going to break down, and it just made another move higher. Same again, and then I think once it got to here, I had put the remainder of my cash position into crypto as it just wasn't going back down. And in hindsight, this looks to be a pretty good move, as we've now had this excellent run with the Bitcoin ETFs. And with everything going on right now, we are certainly setting up an excellent summer and fall. So all in all, I'd say these are pretty good charts showing us what's going on behind the scenes with liquidity and risk assets.
We'd see liquidity rising going forwards. There's sources of liquidity everywhere, from the Fed cutting rate, from the Treasury draining the general account, to the Fed cutting QT, to potentially the Treasury offering some liquidity provisions to China so they can manage the debt deflation. They're starved of dollars. Something with Japan, who also needs dollars. There is a lot of opportunities. The Europeans are going to cut rates. The UK are going to cut rates. There's a lot of opportunity for liquidity. The Fed may, let's say, spin up a special purpose vehicle to get rid of commercial real estate from the banks. Who knows? But the cowbell is coming. Listen out for it. It's already started.
And then finally, I would just like to add this final piece on the banana zone. This was the halving of 2012. And now let's just add our critical piece to the puzzle. There it is, the banana zone. So even though you may be hearing a lot about the banana zone right now, and we're entering the banana zone, what I'd like to point out is that what I would say is the banana zone, where it's pretty much going vertical, it just comes at the very, very end of the cycle. And actually, the first 3 months after the halving, nothing really much happens in comparison. Now, if we were to zoom into this section just here, yes, we are getting 20% moves, 30% drops, 30% moves. So although right now it looks like a lot of stuff is happening, for me, the actual banana zone is gonna come later. And just make a mental note that the final blow off top, the banana zone part in the 2012 cycle, this occurred in just 1 month. So for me, the banana zone was just 1 month. The next cycle was the halving of 2016, and let's just add our little friend in here. And as you can see, nothing really happens in the first 3 months. The next 3 months is quite good, but again, in comparison to what's coming, I'd say this is the true banana zone. And make a mental note, as this time after the halving, the peak came not after 12 months, but after 18 months. So a year and a half. And again, this massive move here came in just the last, say, 2 months. So in just 2 months, the vast majority of the gains. So again, I would say it's this section that is really the true banana zone. Although at the time, this can be quite enjoyable. And finally, the halving of 2020, which set up the last big double top move in crypto. Let's just add our little friend in here. And this time it's a bit of a combination, so just make a mental note. We had a peak exactly 12 months after the halving, but also 18 months after the halving. So first cycle was 12 months, second cycle was 18 months, and the third one was pretty much both. We had a top after 12 months, top after 18 months. But again, as you'll notice, the banana zone for me comes at a later stage. So that is just my 2 cents. This is likely one of the most important weeks crypto will ever face, and if everything goes our way, it will set up the ultimate banana zone. The banana zone is a term brought to us by Raoul Pal, simply referencing the end of the 4-year cycle. The main reason behind why we keep getting these massive blow-off tops has more to do with global liquidity than anything else. And due to the US and their completely unsustainable debt burden, they're going to have to return to liquidity just to pay the interest. Now, although the moves coming over the coming weeks will be awesome, the massive near vertical moves that the crypto market is most famous for actually just comes right at the very end. And so if you're enjoying the moves right now, you're going to love the last 3 months of this year, the first 3 months of next year, and then we'll talk about the rest of 2025. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now, what an amazing time to be a crypto investor right now. And my condolences go out to all the Bitcoin maxis who thought that Bitcoin was the only game in town. So if you've got any questions or comments, then let me know below. However, just remember, to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments, we are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.